Good afternoon, everyone. Today's Find Your Purpose Fridays is featuring my boy Kodak. Of course, it's part of Indie Love, and he's going to tell a little about himself before we get started. So go ahead, Kodak. Tell us a little about yourself, where you from, and everything like that.
Oh, well, as she stated, my name is Kodak, aka Clinton Hickson. I am from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, all the way down here on the hill, trying to pursue my career in broadcasting. And I'm so glad that we got in contact and definitely with this movement of finding my purpose. As I've been in school trying to find my purpose, I've come across many different influential individuals, and you are one of those people. So thank you for this opportunity.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for taking your time out of your Friday. I know you have a lot of things to do, but you're taking the time out with me. We definitely appreciate it. So first, we're just going to start off by saying, what do you feel that your purpose is? What do you feel it is?
I feel that my purpose is to tell the stories of people without a voice. I know it can be a struggle sometimes dealing with trying to voice yourself and be heard in the noise of what social media has created and what mass media has created. But I do feel that by me creating this podcast, it creates a platform for people to tell their stories that may not have been heard. And it also is my opportunity to find myself in individuals just by getting their tips and tricks to success and applying that to my everyday life. And it's been pretty beneficial, and I've started to see definitely improvement in my self-esteem and in the confidence in my voice. So I definitely think my purpose is telling other people's stories and giving them a platform to voice theirs.
Okay. Now, with your podcast, talk a little more about that. Like when you said when people come on your podcast and tell their stories and stuff like that, when they're telling their story, how do you feel? How do you want to impact them? What do you want? When they leave after they have their interview with you on their podcast?
Yeah.
What do you want to happen when they leave? Like, do you want them to have a sense of urgency to go after their purpose? What do you want to happen once they experience your podcast?
I would like everyone to then, after they experience my podcast, then go out and walk into their purpose, because as Nike's famous logo says and motto is just do it. I feel that a lot of times people wait for somebody else's appreciation or validation or what is the word that I'm looking for? Permission to walk in their purpose or do something that they feel is right. A lot of times people ask me so many questions of, oh, well, they say, oh, I like how you do that. Well, how do I get started? And it's simple as it sounds, just do it. I started my podcast back in June with just a microphone on my phone, and it turned out to give, big success and just responses that have impacted people. I'd also like people to, once they come onto the podcast, to just go out and then tell their story again and again and again for other people, because as it impacts me, it may impact someone else, and someone else may be able to give you a bigger return on your story than I am. Sometimes my platform is just the beginning for people to take off and do their own thing. So definitely it's to come on and impact me and listeners, and then also to then begin walking in their purpose.
Okay. And with your purpose, it sounds like you say you broadcast your podcast, so it seems like that's your career. Like you said, that's what you want to do. What characteristics do you bring with that purpose? Like God gave you certain gifts and talent. He give us certain things to go out in this world to do things that He called us to do. So what do you feel that your characteristics are in that of your purpose?
I definitely bring a different perspective to a lot of topics and issues that are going on in the world. I feel that sometimes my opinion is unpopular, but in today's times, the unpopular opinion needs to be heard just off the simple fact that if you're going with the crowd and saying the same things over and over and over again, you will see no change, you will get no gain or benefit from that. So sometimes the thoughts that come into your head, the questions of why are certain things like this, or what can we do differently than is already being done, or some people may call it conspiracy theories, but they're just valid questions that need to be answered. And I feel that if some questions can't be answered, then you must find the answer. So that is another characteristic that I bring, is answers to questions that people may not have known before. I also bring comic relief to some situations. I mean, in a lot of times, a lot of people laugh to keep from crying, so I try to always make sure my energy is light and brings the mood up no matter what is going on, just so that we can have a beneficial discussion and not leave off with sad emotions, and try to impact the listeners and bring everybody else's mood up. So different perspective, answers to questions that people may not have, and then comic relief in times of anguish or pain.
And I'm sure you're graduating soon. What's your classification?
I am I guess technically first semester senior, so graduating in December of 2018.
Okay. So once you do graduate, it's like you say, your first semester senior, in your upcoming senior year, what kind of things do you want to bring to the campus to help bring awareness to people the importance of going after their purpose?
I definitely would like people to remember me for, again, giving a platform for people to tell their stories and building and finding confidence in their voice. I know that I just started doing a little live aspect of the podcast. We got DJ Everson's coming through sometimes to DJ out there in the hallway.
Okay.
And we just stop people in the hallway. We got some music just to keep the vibe right. And then we just ask people some questions of the day. Like on Valentine's Day, we were asking, do people think chivalry is dead? We were also asking, since it's Black History Month, why are HBCUs important in 2018? And what is so special about your HBCU that you can relay that to the community in order for them to appreciate it as much as you do? So I'm trying to get people to think about certain topics and raise awareness about others and just start the conversation and start the movement behind change that we want to see in our community.
Okay. And also, you speak on, like I said, I've been on your podcast. I enjoyed my time on your podcast. What advice do you want to give individuals who may have a calling or something like that, but, like you said, they want to be part of the in crowd so bad? What ways could they separate themselves so they can let God speak to them to pursue that calling that they may have, but, they don't know of it because they're not taking the time out to seclude themselves or to make themselves available for that blessing of purpose?
A lot of times, like you said, the people that want to be in the in crowd is because it's comfortable. If you want to actually hear your purpose spoken to you, you need to be by yourself. It's silence and time alone, even though it may make you uncomfortable, you need to be uncomfortable in order to be pushed forward. Because if you're in, with the in crowd and everybody's doing the same thing, you're just going to turn out like them. But if you separate yourself and listen and watch for signs, because everybody says, "Oh, show me a sign," but signs and everything happens through you. We are the light that needs to be seen, and we need to show that light to other people. So in order, you need to be by yourself, separate yourself. It's not bad to tell your friends, "Oh, I can't hang out with y'all one or two weekends to go out." I need to find myself. A lot of times people try to find themselves by still doing their same actions. When that happens, you then begin to become your surroundings. That's why they say product of your environment, is because you just stay in that same space. You don't move around, you don't separate yourself and learn yourself. So that is my advice. It is to, again, seclude yourself, just be by yourself it doesn't have to be, forever. It could just be for a time to where you then begin to hear, okay, well, find out what you like to do. Find out what feels right for you. A lot of times we get stuck in our 9-to-5 jobs just because it pays the bills and gets us by. But if it is not your purpose, you will not enjoy it ever. Like, you'll always wake up hating what you need to do, at work. So your purpose then will find you if you, step away from that 9-to-5. It may be, again, uncomfortable, but you need to be uncomfortable in order to grow. So yes, and then as simply as it sounds, just do it.
And did you have any last words that you want to give the audience who may have some questions for you, if they want to follow you or anything like that and listen to your podcast? Did you have any last minute words or any social media outlets that people can follow you and find out more about your podcast?
Most definitely. Some last words is just to be yourself. Stay true to yourself, because then you have no grounds for people to call you out on BS. A lot of times, sometimes people try to just broadcast themselves as I'm this, that, and the third, when they're really not. Get called out and then it's over. Like, you need to just stay true to yourself. Self-awareness is key. But you can follow me on Instagram at @Kodak. You can follow me on Twitter at Clinton Hickson, all one word. You can follow me on Snapchat at Kick It with Kodak. That's where I post a lot of the behind the scenes of the podcast. And the main sites for the podcast, everybody I know has an iPhone, so you need to subscribe to the podcast on the little purple podcast app. Click on that, type in Kicking It with Kodak, and all the episodes will pop up there. It's like 50 plus episodes you can listen to so far. We got Indy on there. She definitely dropped some gems about the accounting world and how you can find your purpose. So make sure you check that episode out. And I'm here all the time. Just come say what up, and we can kick it on the podcast. So,
Right, of course. So, Andy, again, I want to thank you for taking your time out to speak about your purpose, what your purpose is doing for you and how others can pursue their purpose with those great encouraging words. And again, we want to thank you for Find Your Purpose Friday. Tune in, guys, later on. The episode will be uploaded. So make sure you check Andy out. He gave you all his social media outlets, and stay true to yourself. As Andy said, we out of here. Thank you.
Make sure you tune in to the Kicking It with Kodak podcast. It's the smoothest podcast you'll ever listen to.
You heard what he said. All right, y'all. Thank you.
Yeah.